Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Identity Edge with Anne Marie and Lucy.
Good
Morning,
morning,
Lucy.
everyone. Good morning, Anne-Marie.
So welcome everybody. So today I was listening to a podcast. One of my daughters was a gymnast, so I've always been immersed in the world of gymnastics. And there's a young gymnast called Niall Wilson who used to compete for the UK team. And I was listening to his podcast and he was talking about lost time. So he had 4 or 5 years ago, he left gymnastics and he said those 4 or 5 years have been lost. So I suppose at the time he didn't really want to give up gymnastics, but because of, different injuries and stuff, it was time. And he said the next day when he woke up, he was going like, what will I do? He
Mm.
had no plan. He said his identity up to that had been, I am a gymnast. That's what he identified himself as. He said he'd no training schedule, so he'd developed no idea of what to do with his day other than he went training. He ate well, so it even dictated, he said, what he ate and drank. His whole life was gymnastics, and he also missed, he realized, performing. So he missed the adrenaline rush of like people going, "Wow, look at that," and he also missed his teammates. So all of a sudden, he's on his own, no plan, no teammates, no, like, oh, I can eat what I want, but do I want to eat what I want? Like, I can drink what I want, but like he said, he had no satisfaction with life. Every day was just bland.
Yeah.
And so
And that
he
can be so
calls them the
reflective,
lost.
can't it? Yeah, that can be so reflective of like humans when we just move from role to role. Like, kind
Absolutely.
of a
Yeah.
mum who's like I would talk about, when they don't want to go to the recycling center with you anymore. I always think of
Yeah.
it that way because when your kids are small, no matter where you're going, they want to go. They're all in. All they want to
Everything's
do is be
right.
with you. But then they get to a point where they absolutely have no interest in going anywhere with you. So you're on your own. Your role
Absolutely.
changes
I
in
mean,
their lives. And it's like, how do you manage that transition from role to role? And
yeah.
how do you manage yourself in that? And that's like a lot of the Simon Sinek work. And he talks about finding your why. So looking at what's your purpose, what is
Yeah.
the thing that's really important to you? Because then being a gymnast or being a mum or all of those things are what's. They're the different roles and the different
Sure.
things that you do in your life. So they can change, but your why
Mhm.
remains the same. So it's as you move from place to place, it's how you stay aligned to the thing that's important to you, although the role changes.
Yeah. I mean, I made a big decision earlier this year. Um, I mean, I've stayed in the same job. I'm doing the same work, but I'm not within the same group.
Mm.
And it was it was a difficult decision. But like that, I looked at my whys, and for me, because I'm now a grandmother, I'm not interested in doing anything that doesn't support, I suppose, myself, my family, my mental health, their mental health. Because
Mm.
if my mental health isn't good, then that transfers to all the people who live with you and your extended family and all. And like, I think when you get to certain points in life, anyway, you realize what is really, really important. And I suppose they are your whys once you realize, well, why am
Yeah,
I doing this? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I've always known why I was doing this. Most jobs that I did, I mean, I love what I do now, but in the past, I didn't love being an accountant. But why I did it was to support my family. And
yeah,
I just happened to be naturally good at it. And it wasn't, I didn't intensely hate it, but
mm,
I'm very good at doing, if something is serving a purpose, I'll do it. Like if I had to go out tomorrow and wash tables or drive a bus or whatever, I would do it because I know the reason behind it.
yeah.
Um,
And like for me, my why statement that I've worked on is to listen with heart, head, and gut. So we build meaningful connections with ourselves and others. And
yeah.
that's why I'm a life coach. So that's one of the whats. It's how I show up as a parent when I'm my best self. It's how I
Mhm.
show up as a partner, as a friend, in the different roles in my life. When I show up with that in mind, then
Yeah.
I'm at my best self because building connection is, I believe, one of the core fundamental things that keeps us healthy and well in our lives. And I can do that in lots of different roles and in lots of
Sure.
different ways.
Mhm.
So what I do can shift around. It's why I'm involved in charities I help out and work in. It's why I work as a life coach. So they all serve my why. So they're interchangeable. So it's like if that young athlete had had his why, maybe then he could have shifted
Yeah,
more easily.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that when you're like he's been in something from the time you're 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Somebody else is providing your why. And do you know what I mean? It's just like you're on a path and you're just like following that path. You're not
Yeah.
thinking about why you're doing it. It's
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
autopilot, isn't it?
And that
Yeah.
speaks to something that's happening for an awful lot of people at the moment. They're getting caught in all these different roles that they have, but they're experiencing a drift because they've moved away from realizing the purpose and why they started things out. Like people who
Yeah.
started out, like I was talking to somebody there a little while ago who had started their business, loved what they did, but the everyday work of it as it was growing, it had grown beyond them. It had grown beyond
Yeah.
what that they were actually able to do themselves. So they needed to start bringing in other people. So some of the joy had gone out of it because why the business had been started in the first place had got lost.
And I think a lot of people who are self-employed, when they start off as sole traders like that
Mm.
and they grow, they try to hold on to everything really, really tight. And
Yeah,
they think like if I employ a few more people, well, I won't get as much, or the business will be different, or but in
yeah,
reality, like it's like you said in another podcast about the Buckaroo, like the weight is too heavy and
yeah,
you physically can't do it. In most businesses, you can't do everything yourself anyway, because you
no,
don't have the skill set. And so you might be trying to, but you might be doing 10 things very inefficiently.
yeah.
So, some of the things I do, I'm not very efficient at. But,
Exactly.
you
And
know,
and then you experience a drift.
yeah,
So
you
the
do. You're
drift
like,
then
because
is like you start to get lost. You're not sure where you're going. You're not sure what your business is about. You're not sure what you're about yourself. You're frustrated and upset because your business isn't what it was at the start. You don't have the same joy and excitement. But it's really just you've lost sight of the purpose and of your
sure,
why in it. So when you
exactly.
can realign back into your why, it can actually give you momentum to move forward because it gives you structure about what's important to you. And everybody's why is unique, absolutely unique to them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time it's just inside your own head and you don't tell anybody. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm very guilty of that. So like
yeah,
yourself, or sometimes the way you feel like something but you can't articulate it.
yeah.
I find that a lot
You know
with
what that is, though, Anne Marie? That's like in the limbic part of our brain is where we carry our emotions and where we carry our intuitive feelings. But
sure.
that part of the brain doesn't really have a lot of language. And then
Yeah.
the thinking part of the brain, which is where we get stuck when we start to think all of these things through, then the
Yes.
thinking part of the brain kind of takes over and goes into overdrive. But the way forward with it is really to get the information from the limbic part of the brain. And that's done through the process of storytelling. When we
Yes.
tell stories about things that are important to us, when we start to tell stories, that's how the whole find your why process works. Because
Yeah.
it connects that limbic part of the brain with the neocortex, which then allows those two parts of the brain to
Trying
give
to
each
talk
other
to each other.
information and talk to
Yeah.
each other. Yeah.
Because
So
I suppose that's one of the key things I notice with a lot of my students, because most of them are neurodiverse. So they're not big fans of the left side of their brain at all anyway. So they're much more visual and in the imaginative part. And like if they're left alone, they
mm,
function really well. But it's when someone starts to ask them, like you said, questions like, why are you doing
yeah,
this? Why? I
yeah.
mean, in the work that I do, why is a trigger word anyway. And so it's not a visual word. So
But
for
why is
them,
such an accusatory word? It's why
yeah,
did you do that?
yeah.
Sounds
So
so different to what was the reason for doing
yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah.
Because then
So
they can kind of reason it out. But I suppose to kind of finish ourselves up for our 10 minutes, to think about like all the different hats that people wear, or even think about it in terms of the little buckaroo. What are all the different little pieces that are
Stressing you out.
stressing you out. All those different little
But you
things.
don't sometimes, I
Yeah,
think
but
you're
if you
right.
had
People
one
don't
of them at a
realize.
time, yeah, if you had one at a time, you'd be fine. But all piled together, you know, it's not the straw that broke the camel's back, it was the
Black.
heavy load that he was carrying already. So,
Exactly. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's our little thoughts for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back soon with another podcast. Have a great day, everyone.
bye.
Bye bye.